y'all, welcome back to my channel. So I'm actually out with Bae today, but I had to come home because I was like, I told these people the video gonna be out by 6 and I'm not doing the thing I used to do. I used to put my stuff on hold and would be like, oh well, they'll be all right, I'll just put it out tomorrow, they'll be okay. But like, nah, I'm not doing that no more. I told y'all 6, y'all getting this at 6. It's 6 o'clock right now. Y'all looking at the video. Here I am right here where I said I'd be. Commitment. Lit and all. All right, so let's do this. We're talking about recognizing trauma responses. Okay, y'all, so real quick debrief. Let me take my breath. Okay, real quick debrief. The reason why I chose to do this video is because I've just been dealing with a lot of friendship drama within the last year or two, and it's really irritating, and I just want it all to stop. But also, like, in my personal romantic relationships, I've dealt with a lot of drama in that space as well. And then also, like, with my family relationships, I've dealt with a lot of drama there as well. And I've developed trauma from all 3 different experiences. So now I'm in a space of navigating my way out of that and learning how to thrive instead of being, stuck in survival mode and letting any old thing just fly by me. Because any old thing is just not okay anymore. Like, that was cool for the time being. And, like, I've since lifted myself out of that space, so now I'm not accepting that. And I know it's thrown a lot of people by surprise, but it's this shit. It threw me off too, but here I am, leveled up and ready for better. So that's the inspiration behind the video. So let's go on ahead and get into it. All right, let my phone unlock. Y'all know I gotta do the notes. I do the notes. I outline every episode because I care what I'm saying, and I'm really liking my lives. I'm about to hit my 9-month anniversary tomorrow, so we live, like, but yeah. All right, so the beginning of trauma and all of that stuff dates back to my childhood, like it does with most people. I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty of anything because it's my business, it's my family business. Like, I don't feel the need to share all of that in depth and detail. But what I will do is share my own feelings and perceptions that I experienced at that time. I won't necessarily get into the why I felt that way, but more so of what I was feeling. So I'll get into those feelings and talk about, what I was feeling and the effects of those emotions on my life in the future is what I'll really be getting into. All you need to know is that I love my family and they love me, and every family got their issues, and, that's cool. But we working on our shit together, and that's all you need to know. But everybody also goes through trauma, and I hope them seeing me post this video about my own trauma will help them to explore their own trauma and release themselves from that burden. Because that's really what the problem be in most families, is that the older generation doesn't want to admit or release the trauma that they have, and it's just like, it's there, it's okay. Admit that it's there and then release that shit, dog. Like, so we can all be great. Like, you really holding up progress when you refuse to believe that you have it. Like, it's there. And it doesn't mean that it was intentionally inflicted or anything. It just means that you experienced some hard shit. Which, I mean, we're black. Of course. We all have trauma. It's okay to admit it. We don't have to be strong like they tell us. But alright, so going into it. My childhood, I felt like a black sheep because I was the youngest, I was the baby, and I had my own way of looking at the world. There's a method to my madness, though, and 9 times out of 10, I'm absolutely correct. And I think that's really what pisses people off the most, is that they do all of this trying to fight me and my responses, and then they circumnavigate themselves back to a place of knowing I'm right. And then I'm just sitting there like, didn't I say that? Didn't I say that at the beginning? Wasn't I shut down by you and others? And now here we are, asking me how to implement my suggestion that I was chewed up over. Hello. Hi. It's me. Yeah, that's the household I grew up in. As far as, like, my feelings go, I definitely felt like a black sheep. I definitely felt like I'm right. We all know I'm right, but because we all have egos, we're going to let us think that I'm not right, but we know I'm correct. Like, I rarely speak up unless I'm correct. I actually don't talk unless I know I'm correct. The only time I talk is when I'm correct. I don't say anything unless I am correct. I like to be correct. I like to be right. Accuracy is where I thrive the most. I live in that space. That's who I am. I'm an accurate ass motherfucker. I am very much correct. If I ever told you some shit, it was the truth. I'm so sorry. And if it hurt your feelings, I'm so sorry. But it was facts. And you needed to hear that shit. And cause nobody else gonna have the balls to tell you. And that's really the real tea. I actually love you. Cause I'm gonna tell you about yourself. For real. And you might not like it. It might be hard to swallow, but like, it's a real pill. So you swallowing a real pill. It's not a placebo. It's a real pill. There will be side effects. I don't know how else to say it. So yeah, I definitely felt like I was the black sheep and growing up. And because of that feeling, not even because of that feeling. The things that contributed to that feeling was the whole, oh, you're the youngest, so like you're spoiled, or they just let you get away with anything and all that other stuff. And I'm like, y'all calling me speaking my truth, getting away with anything. I'm so sorry you weren't bold enough to speak yours, but my nigga, I'm not you. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that everybody called the youngest person spoiled for speaking their truth, but like whole time you were a PAB, pussy ass bitch for the hosts who don't know, but you were a PAB and you sat there and bit your tongue and I didn't, and you're mad at me because I did. That's not my fault. You should have said something, ho. Like, I don't know. You should have said something. You should have very well spoke your truth. Because I guarantee the reaction would have been the same. It would have been the same. Like, I'm so sorry you didn't speak your truth when you had your chance. But this is my chance and I'm going to speak it. And it's going to be loud. And you going to hear me roar. And that's exactly what it's going to be. And that's what it's always been. I ain't got time for anything else. Don't be out here calling people that is younger than you, that got more balls than you, spoiled. We not spoiled. We might be loud. Shit. Some of us might be wrong. We might be a little obnoxious, arrogant, whatever the fuck. But we're not spoiled just because we speak our truth with a little more gusto. Like, it's Jada! Hi! But yeah. Don't get mad at us because we speak our truth with a little more gusto. That's not our fault. Sorry, y'all. My roommate is like moving about and I hear her child. Her child is my child. We're all children together. They're my people. But yeah, don't get mad at me because I speak my truth with a little bit more gusto. Like, and that's not me being spoiled. That's not me being like anything extra. That's me being honest. And y'all was living in a lie. And I'm here to let you know that that's not okay with me because I live in the truth. I live in the real world. And if you hurt my feelings, you gonna know about it. And if you think you're gonna get away with it, you thought you were. You won't. Because I guarantee you, if I don't get you, God will. Actually, you might want me to get you. So yeah. The next thing. Because of all of those things I was like feeling as a child, like growing up, like not really feeling like I had a space to fit in the family, all of those feelings, like because of that, I started denying my truth at a very early age. And it would start with little things of just like, am I tripping? And just asking my friend for advice to how to navigate the situation, because like when you're a child, you don't really know how to navigate like feeling suppressed and like living at home. Like, you don't know how to navigate that as a kid. Like, nobody knows how to navigate that as a kid. Like, you can't say nothing because you know they're gonna yell at you if you do say something. But then like you feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you do say something. So then it's just like, how do I navigate this space? And that was really the beginning of me denying my truth, because I wasn't able to speak up for myself, because how can I live here. Like, they don't like this, like I have to suck it up or whatever. But like in the middle of me trying to quote unquote suck it up or just keep the peace or whatever the fuck I thought I was doing, by just being silent at that time in my life. I started denying my truth, and that's really where the problems that I'm dealing with now started to begin and started to form. And so, and again, I just want to say I love my family. Like, everybody, when they growing up and they going through puberty and all this stuff, like, we all have our own shit. Like, and it's all different shit. Like, some people, it might be the whole sneaking out the house shit. I didn't have that problem, because why do I want to leave? What? But, you know, some people did. Some people was just out here popping P word and D word out here for the folks and getting pregnant and having STDs or whatever. Like, everybody has their own hurdle in that time period. Mine was identity. And so that's why I'm talking to you guys today. So I just want to reinforce that, because I love my people and we're in a great space, and I don't want those hoes to support me, watch this, and be like, I didn't, and then like bother me with their feelings, because this is not that. Just, this is not that. Like, I know I'm an asshole for saying it, but just, this is not that. Like, this is literally just me sharing like everything that's been downloaded to me by God over the last month and couple of months. So reinforced. But yes. So yeah, in the beginning of me trying to figure out my space in the world and feeling like the black sheep and just being told I was spoiled and all of these things, just being told how I was and all this stuff about like people basically giving my identity characteristics and traits before I could even identify them that myself. That was really the beginning of me starting to deny my truth, and that's what allowed me to be open to creating the trauma bonds that existed in my romantic and platonic relationships. And that's what we're talking about next, which is trauma bond. So a trauma bond is basically a bond that's formed like when there's like a mutual trauma or a compatible trauma. And I say mutual or compatible because like there are people that get along really well that both experience the same thing. Like I had a friend that I recently had to end friendships with because, you know, all of our traumas were the same. But because our traumas were the same, like our triggers were the same, and like our reaction to said triggers were the same. And so like I can see through it and I see what you're doing, and like I'm not okay with that. And like it's hard. It's a pill to watch what you would do outside of yourself. Like you can say what you will do, and you can think about what you'll do and like be like, oh, this makes sense, it's what I do, blah blah. Like when you see it in action and it's not as good as you think it is, like you be thinking shit's sweet when you're doing it, but like when you see other people do it and you're like living on the other end of what you do, and you can recognize what is being done because you're triggered by it, and so you see it happening, so you know what's being done. Like you see it and you're like, why is this bothering me so much? Like this ain't even that deep. Like I would do this, but then it's the I would do this that clicks in, and you're like, oh, I actually ain't shit. That shit is not for the weak. So going through that, I lost my train of thought. But going through that and developing those trauma bonds and situations like that, that's a lot. So for me, when I would actively develop those types of relationships, the first thing I would do is I would gravitate to predictable people, or just anything that I knew I could control or I could predict. And it's not to say that I would manipulate people, because I don't do that. I know how to do it. Don't think it can't be done. It could be done. I don't use that. I know how to avoid doing that, but I don't do that. I don't manipulate people. I could. I really could, because people are dumb. And y'all are really stupid. I just... Let me take a brief pause. People are so dumb. Like the phrase common sense ain't common. It's oh my God. But anyway, I don't choose to manipulate people because it's wrong. Like first of all, that takes a lot of work. Like you have to put ideas in other people's head. I do not have the time or the capacity to do. Like I know how it could be done and done effectively, but do you know how much time you have to dedicate? Like you have to make the other person believe that they're conceiving the thoughts on their own. That by itself is just, it's a masterclass I don't have time for. But I would, however, go into relationships knowing the outcome would be unfavorable to me. But because I was used to the outcome being unfavorable to me, it was easy to go toward those relationships because I already knew what it felt like to have my feelings hurt. So when I say I would navigate to predictable relationships, that's what I mean. Like, I would navigate toward relationships where I kind of knew the outcome. I was safe in the space of knowing, like, oh, they're going to hurt me, but the time we'll have together will be fun, but they're going to hurt me. And then, I'm going to heal. And then I'm going to find another person that's going to hurt me. And then I'm going to heal. And then I'm going to find another person that's going to hurt me. Like, it was just this cycle of, like, me going toward things that I knew weren't bad for me, weren't good for me. But because I knew what was on the other side of what was unhealthy, I was okay with living in that unhealthy existence versus seeking out something healthy because I wasn't aware or privy enough to what was happening on the other side of healthy. Like, I didn't go toward that because I didn't have enough experience in that realm to even navigate it. So I didn't even want to touch healthy relationships at all. Like, it didn't matter if it was platonic. It didn't matter if it was romantic. Like, I didn't want anything to do with a healthy relationship because I didn't know how to navigate in that space. And that by itself, like, when you take the mask off and realize, dead, that's different. That's different. Completely different. And then I will also gravitate toward people with strong personalities that would keep me suppressing my inner voice. That part was hard for me to come to terms with recognizing my trauma responses. I didn't realize, like, I was doing that until just within the last month or two, at maximum last year or two. But honestly, within the last month or two, I just realized that I was gravitating toward people that would make me suppress my inner voice so that I would not have to hit my full potential, because I was scared of my full potential too. So, like, that, it was like, whoa, like, let me tell you, Jesus has been downloading stuff in my spirit lately and talking to me about me and letting me know who I was. And he not wrong, but I'm doing something about it now. So that's the difference. So that's the first thing about trauma bonds that I experienced. The next would be, like, I was saying, that I would deal with people that help me keep my inner voice and my intuition in check. I would also do it actively myself. Like, I would suppress my own thoughts and my own voice and my own feelings and stuff just to, stay in the relationships that I was in. So, like, not even just to stay in the relationships that I was in, but also, like, I would keep it all bottled up until I bubbled over. So, like, I would, like, make myself hold stuff in until I got to the point where I would explode. And, like, most of the time when I did explode, I would show the most, like, the worst parts of myself. But I would be okay because I'm like, oh, well, you pushed me here, so now you get to deal with all of my anger. Whatever this anger is from, it could be anger that's directed towards you. It could be anger that I've held within for a long time. I don't care where this anger is coming from. Wherever I gotta muster up my anger to let you know not to fuck with me anymore, like, that's where it's coming from. So it could be about you or not. I could be getting mad over shit that I don't even remember no more. I don't fucking know. But, like, I used to just wait until I was just fuming to the point where I was just showcasing the worst parts of myself. And then I would go off on people. Granted, the people I've gone off on and or touched physically, y'all know how to do that shit again, right? I made the statement that needed to be made. I definitely was like, don't mess with me no more. And I think that message was received. But it shouldn't ever come to that. I should never have to force myself to break in order to be heard. Like, and I feel like that's what I've been doing, is just forcing myself to break in order to be heard, forcing myself to bend in order to be heard, like, just forcing myself to experience the worst in order to just be heard, just to be heard. Like, just so that people could acknowledge my presence is just as valuable as everybody else's. Like, I would make myself break for that. That shit is, first of all, that's wild. And the only reason why I was doing that was because it's all I was used to, was having to break in order to be heard. I would have to break in order to be heard a lot of my life, and when I was developing those communication skills. So, like, now it's like, All right, you think shit's sweet? Oh, I got sweet for that ass. But it's like, it shouldn't even have to go to that point. And so that's what I'm actively working on now, is just like stopping that process in the middle before I even get to that point of exploding. And like on a romantic standpoint, like with the dudes and stuff, like I was, when my emotions would boil over with them, like I was doing stuff that I had no business doing. Out here performing, what do they say, performing sexual acts? That sounds so intense. I was out here in the streets. That's better. I was out here in the streets with these niggas, and they don't deserve me, and they know. And they know. If you've ever dealt with me in any capacity, you know you weren't worthy. You were shocked. I was as well. It's okay. It was a shocking experience for everybody involved. And the guys that I blew off, like, please know you were great people, and that's why you got blown off. Like, you got blown off. I dodged you. I ditched you because you were a good guy, and I knew you were a good guy. And even if it wasn't my conscious mind knowing, my subconscious mind knew you were a good guy and that I did not need to be anywhere near you, because I would have ruined you. I would have hurt you so much. And it wouldn't have been fair to you. So that's why you got ghosted. That's why I didn't talk to you. That's why I didn't give you the time of day. That's why we're not friends no more. Whatever that is. Like, you were a good person and I knew better. So I did better. And I know that sucks to hear, but I don't go out hurting people just because I'm hurt. That's just the facts. So that's where the trauma responses really leaked over in my platonic and romantic relationships. But also, like, I would actively deprive myself of, you see, I'm looking at these notes. I would actively deprive myself from authentic love in both of those relationships by trying to gravitate to what I understood and knew. I didn't realize that I was depriving myself not only from like love from other people, but I was also depriving myself of self-love, because like to subconsciously or consciously go to a relationship that you know ain't no good for you, and to do that with like out of care in the world for years at a time, like you can't love yourself doing that. Like, I don't care anybody, there's no way you love yourself doing that. Like, there were points within, like even within me having the self-love addict as a podcast, doing that. Like, when I say self-love is a journey, it really is self-love is a journey, because like you can think you have it all figured out, or like you finally hit this epiphany, and it's just like, no, my dude, you're just scratching the surface. You haven't even begun to dig into what you really care about as a person and who you really are. So that's all I got to say about trauma bonds. So knowing all of those things now and coming, and y'all, I'm lit. Let me start there. I'm lit. I had a great time with Bay. He did it up. He took me to brunch, y'all. He took me to brunch. I got a burger. It's in the fridge too. I'm about to eat the rest. But we had great, like, go to the Pancake House. Great place. But yeah. Follow me back to here. On the road to recovery, as far as like me going past my trauma responses and recognizing them and actively changing them and learning to thrive instead of survive, like that's really what the focus is now. So I'm just gonna go through a debrief of what I've been doing these past couple of months to activate that part of my life and go along on that journey. The first thing is that I'm going to talk about, it's not really the first thing I did, but it's the first thing I'm going to talk about because it's been the hardest one that I've had to deal with, and the one that's been on the forefront of my mind since I did it. But it was necessary, and I don't think I made the wrong decision. I just feel like I did what I had to do in order to move forward. And if you're watching the video and you're supporting me, which I hope you are, because I support you still, just know that I do care about you a lot, like a lot. And this was really hard for me to do, but I had to do it because God needs to know from me that I'm serious about where he wants to take me. And so that means I have to do things that will hurt me but help him. So that's what it is, and I hope you understand that. But so the first thing I had to do was in the friendship in my life, like, and this is a person that I thought would be like my friend for the rest of my life. And I'm not saying that she won't be, because I hope that we will one day become friends again. I just don't think that right now is the right time. But you know, after getting all the information, and y'all see I'm crying because I care. Yeah, Jada actually gives a shit. I talk a lot of shit, but I actually give several fucks. So if you are ever in the position to benefit from my love, just know it's real. Okay? I play a lot of games. I crack a lot of jokes. But if I ever told you I loved you, I love you. Like, and I still do. Right now. Right now. I still love you. Don't think you can hit me up if we don't talk. Because you can't. We are not friends. But I do love you. And I hope your life is going fabulously. But yes. After getting downloaded with all of these things about my trauma responses, but not just my trauma responses, my triggers, and just everything I've dealt with up to this point, you know, God just put it on my heart. He was like, you know, you don't have capacity. You don't have the capacity in you right now to maintain this relationship. So you need to walk away from this relationship before it isn't a viable option as a relationship at all anymore. So that's what I did. And y'all, when I tell you, like, if you think you out here, like, my whole thing is brand your purpose. If you think you're out here moving in purpose, you have not moved in purpose until you did some stuff you don't want to do for God. Like, you have not moved in. And I'm not talking about giving stuff up. I'm not talking about, oh, well, I die in my flesh every day. I don't have sex. I don't do drugs, alcohol. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting rid of a best friend that has done nothing to you. I mean, y'all got y'all issues. Who don't? But, like, for the most part, did nothing to you, for real, that warranted the ending of a friendship. Like, and you just gotta sit there and you gotta explain it. And you don't even know what the words to say are, so you just don't say nothing. Like, you ain't did nothing for Jesus until you did something like that. Like, if it's not on that level, don't talk to me. Like, if you have not legit died your flesh in some way, like, that was a dying flesh moment. That was a me saying no to me and yes to God. I was saying no to Jada and yes to God. Like, if you have not said no to yourself and yes to God yet, can you even call yourself a prophet? Are you even here moving for God? Like, you got to say no to yourself and yes to God with everything. And that's one thing that this journey has taught me. So that's why I did this video on recognizing trauma responses. Because the reality of the situation is it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you're moving. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You are going to have to recognize when the enemy is using your past against you. You are going to have to recognize when you're being triggered. You're going to have to recognize when things are coming against you and forming against you so that you can block it, dismiss it, dodge it, whatever you got to do, pray over it, whatever you got to do. But if you cannot recognize those things, if you cannot see those things coming at you, you are not going to be able to move out here. So yes, I did a hard thing and it sucks. But this was the first time in a long time that I said no to me and yes to God. This was the first time in a long time that I chose the greater good over my current feelings. So with that being said, like, me moving in that direction, I already know that coming forward in the future, when it's time for me to make these hard decisions, I'm going to know I can do it. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the right thing. And I'm going to do it. And it's going to get easier and easier to move in my purpose and move for God. Like, you know, these decisions that God places on you or weighs you down with or whatever, it's never an end all. It's never a situation where you can't come back from it victorious. It's just God testing you to make sure that you are down with the program and down with his plan for you. Because if you're not down with the plan, he need to know, so he can move on and call the next soldier up to fight. Like, you can't be wasting God's time out here. And on top of that, you need to know. You need to know what side of the fight you on. I said it. You need to know. You need to know where you stand with Jesus. So you need to know how hard he need to come at you. You need to know what you're actually ready for. I mean, God told me that he's not going to put on nothing on me that I can't bear. But like, real talk, you need to know where you are in your walk with God. And he will send stuff up to you to check in, to see where you are in your walk with him. He want to know where you at too. And like, I know I'm in a space where I'm ready for him to bless me. I'm ready for him to bless and anoint everything I got going on in my life. So I'm gonna do whatever he said. Whatever it is. I don't care. It hurt me. I don't like that. But I like God. And I like his blessings. So I'm gonna shut up. Yup. And that's just what it is. So that's why it's important for you to recognize your trauma responses. It goes deeper than just having friends and living your life and making sure you happy. It's more than that. You got to know how to move when the enemy comes against you. And the enemy will use your trauma against you. He will hurt you with your triggers. He will stir up your emotions so hard. He'll make you go off on the people you shouldn't even be talking to. So you need to recognize your trauma responses so that you can respond to your trauma effectively and efficiently in a way that God would be proud of, versus flying off the handle, holding in your emotions, ignoring your inner voice, ignoring your intuition, ignoring the discernment that was given on you. Don't do any of that. No, you need to learn how to walk through that shit. You need to learn how to walk through your trauma. We don't talk about that. We always talk about like, oh, I have trauma, or they gave me trauma, or this is a trauma response. No, you need to walk through your trauma. You need to walk through it. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. This is what he was talking about. This is it. You need to walk through all of that shit. All that hard shit. Your daddy left and you sad. You need to talk about that. And you actually need to stop holding it in. You need to stop holding in that rejection you feel. You felt rejected. How about that? You felt rejected. And you need to sit with it. And really cry about it. Because I guarantee you it's a lot of people who's watching this that have not cried about that yet. You need to cry. You need to let it all hang out like some titties. Alright. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This has been my situation. Oh, it was 5:55 last time I ended the video. Okay. Anyway, this has been my TED Talk about recognizing trauma responses. I hope I got through to y'all today. I'm a little lit because I was with Bay earlier. I hope that's not too much. I hope y'all can take it. But yeah, I hope this is a good video. As always, like, comment, subscribe. If you need logos, business cards, designs, jwhiteandcompany.com. Follow me on Instagram, The Life of Jay White. Same thing for Twitter, and I think Facebook as well. Thank you for tuning in with me. I will see you next weekend. Have a great day. We live. All right. Bye.